My name's Joe Hurd. Today I'm going to be doing a fantastic recipe using Belton Farm's Red Fox. It's going to be a risotto, a classic Italian risotto with a bit of a British twist. And we're going to be using some lovely pork chops to kind of make something like an osso buco, but again using that Red Fox cheese. We just want to bring the pan up to about medium temperature. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of butter. When you combine the olive oil and butter, it just stops the olive oil smoking a bit, and you also get that lovely kind of rich, creamy flavour we want with the risotto. We've also got some hot stock there. It's really important to have your stock really bubbling, really ferocious, so that it doesn't stop the cooking of the rice. So when the butter just starts to melt in the pan, what we want to see is we want to start just a little bit of kind of foam just coming up to the top. And we need to listen to risottos. You can look at them and you can kind of tell how they're working by the kind of consistency, but also the sound of the risotto in the pan, the kind of crackle which we really want to achieve. So what we've got is some really finely chopped onions. What we want to do with the onions is really sweat them down. We don't want any bite to them. We want them to be sweet, really tasty, a little bit translucent. Then we can add the rice. What we want to do at this point is get all those flavours in the pan, the olive oil, the butter, and that kind of sweetness from the onion into that rice. So we're going to toast it. We're going to kind of fry it a little bit. We're going to acidulate the risotto a couple of times within the cooking. First with just a little bit of white wine. If you don't use white wine, you can use vinegar. And it's just going to give it kind of like that slightly acidic flavour, which is really important when we've got the fats and the salts going on within the dish. But we're going to do it the first time. What we want to do now is cook that alcohol off, so we're just left with the flavour of the wine and not that harsh tang of the alcohol. And you can still hear it's snapping, it's popping, it's not steaming, it's kind of frying at this stage. So the next important part about doing risotto is having really good hot boiling stock. I've just got a little bit of veg stock. So you're kind of building that flavour up, but also taking out all the starch from the rice and making it into a creamy kind of like smooth emulsion in a sauce. And you just see how creamy it goes quite quickly. So we've had that risotto cooking now for about 15 minutes. It's time to add the cheese. So we're using the Belton Farm Red Fox, which has a sophisticated, sweet, savoury flavour with a cunning crunch. The Belton Red Fox cheese just gives it that wonderful kind of golden yellowy colour. You can start adding a little bit more wine now. Like I said, we want to get that flavour of the wine back in. What we can do now is there's lots of heat in that pan, so we can leave the pan on this side, and it's just the residual heat is going to cook the rice just to perfection. We're going to do the pork chop. Now all I'm doing is scoring the edges of the fat. That way, the pork chop's not going to turn up in the pan, it's going to remain flat and cook evenly. We're going to add some salt and pepper and some sage and garlic to the pan with a bit of butter and oil. So what I want to do now is just add that pork chop to the hot fat. We're going to cook that about 3 minutes on each side so it gets a nice and kind of like medium rare, and then we're going to rest it for 3 minutes. So the pork chop's cooked, it's just going to rest for a little bit, and the risotto is just finished cooking just with that residual heat, and you can see now how smooth it's kind of become. You've got that wonderful sauce. So you just move that around the plate. We've got that lovely consistency there. The pork's been resting for about 3 minutes. We just fried it on both sides. We're just going to place that in the middle. Now to finish, I've got some crumbled Red Fox cheese, which can go around. That's just going to melt in, just give it that extra bit of kick. We've got some chopped walnuts. The walnuts and cheese are a classic combination, especially when you have that sage there too. A few capers. I think capers are really nice. Again, that kind of pickled flavour with the walnuts, with the pork and with the cheese. And then finally, just a little bit of watercress and a bit more cheese. And that's a really simple risotto with sage and pork using the wonderful Belton Farm Red Fox cheese. And does it get any better than that?